series. Sorry we're getting started a couple minutes late today. We want to make sure everything was functioning properly before we jumped on. I'm Jamie Parrott, President of MedResults Network. And as always, I just want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to attend this presentation. Thank you again to everyone who has regularly attended our webinar since the beginning. And for those of you who are new today, we began this series as a way to provide additional education to our members, which we at MedResults feel is the key to becoming and remaining successful in our ever-changing industry. So for those who are new to our series, we love getting feedback from our attendees as to what topics you'd like to hear in the future. If you guys have thoughts or suggestions as to a future topic, please feel free to contact me after the presentation. A few exciting announcements before we begin today. This past month, we formed a new affiliation with the American Med Spa Association in Chicago, which many of you may have been aware of from our recent emails or our last webinar. And as I mentioned during our last presentation, we think AmSpa brings a new dimension to MedResults Network members through their educational opportunities, through their legal and regulatory information, trainings and seminars. They also offer other programs like insurance and HIPAA compliance and OSHA training, which we think are fantastic additions to the MedResults Network membership. And in fact, actually, they are holding a regional med spa training on June 1st and 2nd in Chicago, at which I'll actually be presenting. So for those of you in the Midwest, I would love to meet you in person. I think this would be an excellent opportunity to do so. Feel free to contact me after the presentation if you have questions about AmSpa. Our members have an exclusive discount off of their annual membership and also off of events like the one in Chicago, and I can certainly help you get registered for either of those. It's important to announce also that we're going to be introducing 4 new vendor partners in the months of May and June. And without name dropping, let's just say you can expect new rebates on software and EMR, marketing, incredible ultrasound technology, which we're really excited about, and a top-of-the-line skincare brand with the #1 lash enhancement product on the market. So we're very excited. Keep your eyes posted on your emails because that's how you're going to learn about it. This is our 10th educational webinar since November 6th last year, and today we're discussing a topic that's new to the MedResults Network webinar series. Since inception, we've been fortunate enough to have presentations on injectable training, patient acquisition, LED technology, weight loss, HIPAA compliance, and a lot of other topics. But today, marketing expert and founder of Evermark, one of our partners, Corey Scott, has been invited to discuss the differences between effective marketing and effective marketing to help increase your revenues. When you think of successful marketing campaigns, I'm sure one of the first things that comes into your mind are popular commercials or ads or an event like the Super Bowl. Certainly what comes into my mind, and it's basically where dozens of ads are shown to have some effect on us that has a message or where the brand stays on top of our mind long after the game or the event is over. And Corey's really here today to explain the secret to these types of marketing techniques and others and how they can be utilized in your practice, albeit on a much smaller scale, of course, than the Super Bowl. Corey's also going to close with a brief description of SASSI, which is Evermark's unique marketing membership program, which is an effective and efficient way to help you learn and implement new marketing techniques in your business. And a final thing about the presentation today, this is an abbreviated presentation due to our time constraints because we're only allowed about a half hour here. Everyone who attends today will actually get a link after the presentation to a full-length presentation of what you see here today, and there's a lot more content that you'll get in that full-length presentation. After the end of this presentation today, if you have questions for Corey, please feel free to reach out to me directly, or at the close of the presentation, you're going to receive a short survey in a pop-up asking you whether you're interested in receiving some additional information, and simply tick that yes box and Corey can assist you directly. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Corey Scott of Evermark.
Thank you, Jamie, and I just want to welcome everyone again to this presentation. A little bit about myself. I am the CEO of Evermark. I've been doing marketing for the last 10 years plus. I was working my first job with marketing. That's what you're going to see in this presentation. It was first presented at the ATOM conference that was held here in Colorado, the Association of Dermatology Administrators and Managers in 2014, and it was very well received, and we were really excited about it. So this presentation was created to define marketing in a really simple way. So let's go ahead and move right into the presentation. So what are we going to discuss today? We're going to discuss some definitions of marketing, advertising, and effective and effective and those differences. We're going to talk about how to be happy. It's really a mnemonic device for you to remember what we're talking about today, something that you will be able to continue to do ongoing, and a really cool way to just remember that. We'll talk about 7 effective marketing tips that every business should use, and we'll also talk about 7 effective marketing tips that most businesses ignore. And then we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Super Bowl ads and the viral ads. As Jamie mentioned, this is abbreviated, and those Super Bowl ads end up taking quite a bit of time with the way they're interacted and just having to watch them. So that will be in the full-length presentation that everyone who attends will be able to receive that information in that link later on. So we're not going to spend a ton of time on the Super Bowl ads or the viral ads, but we will talk a little bit about Dove's campaign for Real Beauty. I'm sure most people on this presentation probably have watched some of those ads and are familiar with that campaign, but there are some great takeaways that you can learn and apply to your practice once you see as we get through that presentation. And then we'll talk a little bit more about Evermark and our SASSI membership, and the Q&A is really time for you to just think of some of those questions, and like Jamie said, we'll answer those at another time. So let's go ahead and move right into the definitions. The first definition we're going to talk about here is marketing. I know most people know what marketing is, but sometimes it's really nice to have an actual definition, and it goes in line with what we're talking about during this presentation. So marketing is the process and technique of promoting, selling, and distributing a product or service. So I really want to make sure we emphasize the underlined portion, the process and technique of promoting, selling, and distributing. So a lot of times people think marketing and advertising are the same thing, and they're not. Marketing is what you're doing, kind of how you're thinking of things and the process you're going to go in for a specific product launch. Maybe you're launching a new service. Maybe you're, let's say you're doing body contouring or something like that. The marketing is the process and technique you're going to go about actually getting that out to potential new customers and even your current customers. So advertising is the money you spend promoting, selling, and distributing that product or service. So it's the actual dollars you're putting out there. So you really don't have a marketing budget necessarily. You have an advertising budget that you're spending money promoting and selling whatever it is that you're trying to do with your marketing. So those definitions are a good starting point for us, because when I talk marketing, when I talk advertising, I'm talking about them in those separate ways. Advertising, again, the money you spend. The marketing is that process, the think tank behind that product or service and getting that out. Then we want to talk about effective. Usually at this time of the presentation, I want you to think, well, what is effective? And understanding that. So with effective, we're defining that as producing the intended or expected result, underlining result, highlighting that. Effective is the result that you want to have with your marketing. And a lot of times, small businesses go in and launch a new product and they have no goals, they have no real expected result except to get the word out. That's okay, but you're not going to be able to know if that marketing was successful, if what I thought about in my process and technique was actually successful, if you don't have an expected result or something you intend to give or get from that particular marketing effort. Affective, which you think of the word affectionate, has to do with causing emotion or feeling. These two separations are important with this presentation and as you continue to think about your marketing, because you want to determine, is this marketing effective or is this marketing effective? Okay? So these definitions really set the foundation for the rest of this presentation. So let's look at this mnemonic device. Again, this is a way for you to remember all the concepts that we're going to discuss in this presentation. So the first thing is be happy. Okay? I know it sounds a little strange. We're not doing it, a self-help thing here, but be happy is B-E for be effective, H-A for have an effect. When you think about your business and your marketing, you say, I want to be happy. I want to be effective. I want to have an effect. So to break that down a little bit further, B is what you want to accomplish. Happy is the emotion you want to create, because remember, affective is an emotion, having that emotion and feeling. So happy is an emotion and a feeling. So it helps you to know that B is I want to accomplish something, and then happy is having an effect. So a good thing for you to do when you have a marketing effort, you're thinking of the next product launch, the next service launch. You maybe are expanding to a new location. You think, I want my business to be happy, be effective, have an effect. So let's talk about effective a little bit more. 7 effective marketing tips every business should use, because remember, you want to be happy. So let's talk about these one by one and break down these ideas. If you have a pen and pencil ready, it's a good time for you to take some notes and maybe ask some questions at a later time. But we're going to go ahead and move into the first tip. Effective marketing tips, goal-oriented. You have to have a goal. You have to set something aside that says, with this marketing effort, I want 10 new phone calls when I send this email out, or I want 100 new patients or customers by the end of this month. Okay, you have to have a goal, and you have to have a measurable result, something you can actually measure. If you say you want to get 10 phone calls from your advertisement that you put into a magazine, you have to put some sort of a call tracking or some sort of line for you to know exactly how many calls you received from that particular advertisement. I know these are probably things that most of you already think about, but they're very effective things for you to do, because as you run these campaigns, you need to be able to look back and say, that was a successful marketing effort because of my measurable result, and I had a goal in mind to get that going. Branded. I know this sounds a little, I mean, if you're putting an advertisement out there, most of you probably think, oh, I'm going to put my logo, and I'm going to do those things, I'm going to brand it, but a lot of businesses forget to brand what they put out. They may mention their business name, they may say some things, but branding is more than just your business name. And sometimes it's a lot more than just your logo. The color scheme, the images you use, the photos you use, the way it's communicated, those are all a part of your branding. These effective marketing tips, remember, you're going to have a result here, and if it's branded, I need to know who that was that put that advertisement out. You can watch, and we're not going to get into a ton of Super Bowl commercials, but how many times have you seen a commercial and you loved it, but 5 seconds later you can't even remember what the company was, but you do remember that particular advertisement, right? So a lot of times people forget to actually brand their advertisements, and so again, we want to be effective. So has a call to action. Call to actions can vary, but it's very important. This is fundamental for any effective marketing. You have to have a call to action. Do you want me to book an appointment? Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to RSVP for your event? Make sure you make it very clear that it's my call to action, because you need that person, when they see that advertisement, to know what to do. Not everyone knows what to do when they see an advertisement. They see a nice ad, you talk about the services you offer, the anti-aging, this and that, which is great, but if you don't tell me what to do, sometimes I don't know what to do. Do I book my appointment online? Do you want me to call you today? Do I call to make an appointment? Making sure you have those call to actions right there within these marketing pieces. Focuses on acquisition and retention, number 5. With Evermark, we look at marketing in 3 different ways, and we call it EAR marketing, E-A-R. E for engage, A for acquire, R for retain. Effective marketing focuses on 2 of those, acquisition and retention. It does not focus on engagement. It focuses on acquisition and retention, which is a lot of places where most small businesses focus as well. They want to get new customers in the door, which is our acquisition, or they want to get customers back in the door, which is retention. So if you're focusing on those 2 things, these 7 effective marketing tips are really important for you to follow. Money driven. That doesn't mean that you're going to have dollar signs on your advertisements, but you need to know that the purpose of this advertisement is to increase my revenue. It's to make money. It should be pretty obvious to the person on the other end seeing that advertisement that you're trying to make money. You want me to book an appointment. I need to pay ahead. I need to prepay. If you're prepaying for services, make sure it's clear in the advertisement that there's a prepayment and that you have to pay ahead and you can use these services down the road. But making sure you're really upfront and that they know this is for making money, because we'll talk about effective marketing tips later where you're not focusing on money driven. But right now, the effective is to have a result, and it needs to be money driven in that way. It should answer the question, number 7, what's the point? When a consumer sees your advertisement and they ask themselves, what's the point of this advertisement, your ad should answer that question. The point is, I want you to book today. The point is, I want you to try our new service. The point is, I want you to come to our event. Think about these things, and when you go through and you have an effective marketing piece, that you can check off each one of those and say, this is going to be an effective advertisement. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see an effective video example. This is from Hot Spin Salon, and some of you may be familiar with this particular spa, but I want to play this advertisement or this commercial so that you can see when we're talking about effective videos here. So I'm going to go ahead and play it here.
At Hot Spa Salon, we take pride in the fact that when you walk through the door, you will find a warm and friendly atmosphere geared toward offering you a customized, one-of-a-kind experience. Hot Spa Salon is a full-service salon, spa, and boutique, offering a variety of services which include therapeutic skincare, full-body waxing, eyelash extensions, airbrush tanning, color, cuts, Brazilian blowouts, hair extensions, massage, and body treatments. Our team is highly trained and confident in their work. We customize each treatment based on the client's needs from a holistic approach and not just a routine. We encourage you to come in for yourself to see what we're all about. We are the only salon and spa boutique located on Shelter Island in Point Loma. You can contact us at 619-223-4247 or book online at hotspa.com. We here at Hot Spa Salon look forward to welcoming you into our family and helping you look and feel your best.
So this particular video advertisement or commercial, when you take a look back at the effective marketing tips, was it goal-oriented, measurable result, the things that you're going to do in the back end? They need to know that our goal is to do something. Was it branded? It mentioned Hot Spa Salon multiple times. The call to action in her voice, she wanted you to come in, she wanted you to check it out, you can book an appointment. It had some of these effective marketing tips. It was obviously focusing on acquisition. It mentioned the services they offer. It was obviously money-driven. What's the point? I want you to come in and take a look at our spa, look at our salon. Okay, this particular video ad had a lot of these, and it did a pretty good job. The only thing I would say it's missing was a clear call to action over the video, maybe with a phone number, an email address, something that gets that contact directly from that particular advertisement. But it showed you some of those effective marketing tips. So let's talk about effective marketing tips that most businesses ignore. And this is very important. When I say most businesses, I'm really referring to most small businesses, because as we go through this list, you're going to see this is where most Super Bowl ads, big companies, they focus a lot on effective marketing tips, not effective. So let's look at a few of those. First thing is effective stirs emotion. Whether it's happy, laughing, crying, thought-provoking, there's some sort of emotion that's stirred. Remember, the happy side of that mnemonic device is an emotion that is stirred. So number 2, easy to share or talk about. Now this is really important. If you look at a Super Bowl ad, a viral ad, it's easy to share. That's why it became viral. That's what that term means. It was shared and it was easy to share. A lot of advertisements that are in the Super Bowl are easy to share. They make them so that they're easy to share. And they're easy to talk about. Oh, did you see that advertisement? Oh, that was so funny. It was this, it was that. They make it really easy for you to have a conversation about it. It's memorable, or it plants a seed. I need to be able to remember it. If you could think, what was the best commercial you've ever seen? It probably was effective. It stirred an emotion. It was easy to talk about, and it was memorable. It plants a seed somewhere that you can even remember it for time to come. It's timeless. So when I say timeless here, I want you to understand what I mean. So timeless is something I can watch an advertisement from 10 years ago from Coca-Cola that's still very effective today, right? It's timeless. Once you start putting deals and dates and things like that into your advertisement, come in by Thursday to get this deal, you completely lose its timeless effect, because I can't share it next week if you told me that I have to redeem it or use it by tomorrow, right? So that's what we mean by timeless. Focuses on engagement. So it's not really to acquire or retain customers, even though that may be a byproduct of this particular marketing. It really focuses on engaging, getting the people involved, getting them to watch the full 1 minute, 30-second, or 2-minute advertisement, but it focuses on engagement. It's not obviously money-driven. I don't know the last time you watched a commercial, especially during a big event like the Super Bowl, where they're putting all these dollar signs, call today, you got to call by today. They're not doing that. It's not obviously money-driven because it's not intended to make money. It's intended to cover these top, 5 stirring emotion and things like that for this particular advertisement. Patience. Now, patience is very important because if you're doing an effective marketing, you know that you're not going to get immediate results because you were not focusing on acquiring or retaining customers. You were focusing on engaging. You were focusing on memorable, planting a seed. You have to be patient on the result of that particular form of marketing. So people ask, why are companies spending $4 million on a Super Bowl ad or ad at a big-time event? Well, it's because they're focusing on effective, and they know that they need to be patient on the results and what's going to happen after this campaign is run. So let's watch an effective video example from Tailored Hair for Men, another small localness. We'll play that here.
Tailored Hair for Men is not just about the status quo. So we deliver a handcrafted quality haircut that is tailored to the man who does not accept mediocrity. It's cool to see these men come in, they're stressed out in the minute. You give them a scalp massage, they just like melt, and they have this whole new relaxed feeling about them. The handcrafted haircut, neck shave, face shave, there's a lot of options. The one-share component, I think, is a really unique part of going into a salon.
You're in your own little space. You don't see other people, hear other people, good music playing, and just lets you kind of relax and just take it easy for about an hour.
We always give them a really nice, thorough lesson at the end to make sure they can keep that really cool-looking style. Getting
a straight razor shave on the neck, head massage, and the aroma with the face wrap is all extra on top of getting your hair cut. Great, I love it. Part of the reason I come.
So this particular ad, Affective, even though it did have some effective points to it, it was more on the effective side. It stirred some sort of emotion. You kind of connected with the man sitting in the chair. It wasn't really salesy and intended to, hey, come in, book today. They really didn't even mention those things. It was really about the experience, something you can share. Let's say I'm a male on Facebook and I see that ad. I may share it with my male friend and say, hey, man, we need to try this out. But it was more timeless, focusing on engagement, getting me involved. It wasn't obviously telling me come in today for a $20 men's haircut or something like that. And it may not have those immediate results where you're going to have to be, again, patient to really see the effects and the results of that particular advertisement. But it was effective in that way. Okay, so let's move on, and we're not going to go into the Super Bowl ads. I'm just going to kind of move through these. You will notice when you watch the full-length presentation why these advertisements are in this particular presentation. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on those. But I did want to get to this. What percentage of Super Bowl ads don't help sales? Is it 30%? Is it 60%? Is it 80%? Is it none of the above? Just take a moment, get your answer in there. And most people are surprised, but 80% of Super Bowl ads don't help sales. And you're thinking, why in the world would you spend $4 million on a commercial that does not help sales? Well, that's because those commercials are not intended to be effective. They're intended to be effective, to easily share, to stir an emotion. They're not really for you to directly correlate that with sales. But you can see companies like Budweiser continually run these $4 million Super Bowl spots. Why? Because they do help sales. They're just not something you can say, how many people did you bring in from that Super Bowl ad? Well, I can't measure it that way. It wasn't intended to be measured that way. Okay? So viral ads, again, the presentation, the extended version will go through these viral ads. There's some great ones in here, and we'll talk about that a lot more so that you can see how we kind of break down and how it will relate to you as a small business, even if you just have one location. So the last thing what I want to end with is Duff's campaign for Real Beauty. Most of you probably are familiar with this particular campaign, but let's look at it 10 years later so that you can see some of the highlights and some of the points that you want to take away for your business. This campaign was launched in 2004. And when they started this campaign in 2004, they found that only 4% of women described themselves as beautiful. which was really low in their opinion, and they wanted to, their campaign goal, when you look back at Effective, remember it's goal-oriented. Their campaign goal was to find a way to convince the other 96% they're also beautiful. So they've been on this tear for the last 10 plus years, making advertisements that are very easy, they're very effective, watched over 18 million times for this one in 2006. In 2013, I'm sure all of you seen this particular ad. It was the most watched ad of all time. It was watched over 65 million times, and it was the #1 viral ad in 2013. Great ad, which we'll discuss more in the extended version. And then in 2014, the most recent one is Choosing Beautiful, which has already been watched over 6 million times. Their advertisements fit their campaign goal, their campaign idea. We want women to feel beautiful, no matter who they are. Well, let's look at the numbers because they don't lie in what their campaign has been able to do. They've been able to increase what women and how women view themselves by defining beauty beyond just looks, where now they're defining it by things such as confidence. And now a lot more women base their beauty ideas more on social media than on traditional media. And the numbers are 62% feel like they influence their own definition of beauty now in 2015, when in 2014, 23%. So this 10-year campaign has had a really good effect just on their target market and what they're trying to do in accomplishing that goal. But from a sales perspective, they've increased from $2.5 billion in 2004 to $4 billion in 2014 in that 10-year span. Very impressive. But they've done it with creating this effective advertisement campaign that is increasing sales, where they can't directly relate all of their ads to these sales increases, but they do know that it's working and it's doing what they set out to do in accomplishing that goal and measuring these results. They're doing the things that they need to do to get that done. So as we wrap it up, the idea is that you can be happy too. Remember, be happy, be effective, have an effect. When you look at the effective side of this slide here, goal-oriented, measurable result, branded, has a call to action, focuses on acquisition and retention, money-driven, answers the question, what's the point? When you have an advertisement, you really need to make sure it's part of an overall campaign. That's really important. Some people just launch ads out, every month they're sending out different emails. They really don't have a cohesive campaign. It's really important that you have a campaign, much like you saw with Dove. That's a 10-year plus campaign. You can also create your own campaigns that are running and making sure you're sticking to the goals of your campaign, whether it's a new product launch, new service launch. Again, you want to make sure you can take some of these ideas. Focus on one of these. Focus on, I want to be effective this time. This campaign is going to be effective. Make sure you cross off all 10 of these points. But do not be afraid to pull from effective if you're focusing on effective. Don't be afraid to stir emotion. Don't be afraid to make it memorable or plant a seed. Don't be afraid to also focus just on effective. It's one thing that a lot of small businesses have a hard time doing because they want to get that sale out. They want to get that, we only have until Thursday for this event. It's going to end, right? So you really focus a lot on effective, but do not be afraid to come over here and focus on effective and take these 7 points and say, you know what? I'm going to create a campaign or a video that stirs emotion. It's easy to share or talk about, because sharing and talking about things, that's the #1 way to increase business, and the cheapest way is word of mouth, right? So you need to be able to create marketing efforts, advertisements that are effective, easy to share or talk about. And again, you can pull from both, but you do not have to overspend. One thing we'll talk about in the extended version of this presentation, Dove didn't spend a lot of money on their advertisements, but yet they've been able to increase their revenue year over year. They're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on these videos. They're very, very simple, a lot of times very basic videos, and you can do the same thing for your practice as well. Sometimes it's really about just getting the right idea. So as we wrap up, that was the end of the presentation. I hope you were able to learn a little bit more about effective and effective marketing. We have a SASSI Pro membership, and this membership is intended, SASSI stands for Spa and Salon Services Industry. It's specifically focused on spas and salons in the beauty industry. It's a membership that's $50 per month. It's free, member-only designs and resources. What we do at Evermark is we try and focus on a lot of what you just saw in this presentation. That's what we focus on. And every month you're going to have designs and resources that you can use for your service, things like that for products and all those. We make them ready to use that you can download and put them on social media, put them where you want, put them into an email campaign. We'll also have monthly markups, monthly marketing Q&A group talks, much like what we're doing here, but we're going to have an open session with questions. Well, I did this email last month. It didn't work like I wanted. What can I do next month? And you're also going to have access to our expert marketing services. So when you sign up by May 1st on evermark.com, you get double sign-up points. We're giving you points, and those points can be used to get discounts on design customization, on creative services, and other marketing stuff that we sell on our website. And you get double points, which ends up being about 5,000 points, $50 that you can use for those services. And you will also be invited to our exclusive group talk on May 11th, where we're going to go into the finer points of this presentation and actually have an open Q&A for an hour or so, where you're going to be able to get a lot of good feedback on things you're wanting to do, and even have some maybe new campaign ideas for the summer and things like that. So I hope everyone was able to learn something and get something from this presentation. I look forward to any questions and hopefully meeting some of you and working with some of you.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful. And I just want to encourage everyone, if you do have questions, you can reach out to me directly after the presentation, or as I mentioned, you are going to get a little quick pop-up survey. It takes about 10 seconds to fill out. It's 3 simple questions, and one of them is, if you want more information, tick the yes box, and we'll send it to you. And that way we can get Corey in touch with you directly. So as a quick reminder, just as he said, if you do sign up for SASSI by May 1st, you're going to get those double points and be able to interact with Corey and a few other people to share ideas. Thank you all for attending. Well, I really appreciate you making it here today, and I look forward to speaking with all of you directly. Thanks again.